We are now going to go over forward kinematics versus inverse kinematics, also known as FK versus IK. So there's two very good examples that I'm going to show you. Basically, they're different ways of moving your object in space. So that's the general thing. There's two different ways: forward kinematics, inverse kinematics. FK you've already done, whether you know it or not. So the best example of FK is actually the pendulum. And if you remember, the pendulum is basically the idea. It's basically an arm. So if you take my arm, you can see that it pivots from right here, right? And my upper arm goes back and forth, and then the next point of the joint goes back and forth like this, right? And we have this pivot point and this pivot point, and that's how it moves. Very similar to, like, if I were to grab this right here, we can see that it moves like this. And you'll notice I'm not moving this sphere when I do that. The way I move this sphere is I grab the pivot point up here and I move this right there, right? So it's a chain, if you know it or not. Like, this is constrained or parented to this, then this is parented to this, then this is parented to this, meaning like this follows this and then this and then this, right? So in order to move the bottom one, you move the top one. So that's the forward kinematics. It's a chain. Inverse kinematics is different, and that's what our next assignment is going to be all about, introducing you to IK. So inverse kinematics is you actually control the end joint. So instead of, like, if I want to move this sphere here in FK over to here, I'm going to grab this and move this over here. But if I want to move this foot over to here, I'm not going to move this right here. I'm not going to rotate this. I'm actually going to grab the foot and I'm just going to move the foot over there. So it's inverse of what this is. So instead of actually grabbing the top part, which is this right here, it controls itself. So you'll notice with these two things, this moves independently of its own, and they're both connected through this, like, knee. You'll see that they both, all this middle stuff moves in between when you grab this like this. So a really good example of inverse kinematics are the legs. So the legs are typically, on a human body, the legs are typically going to be in IK, the arms are typically going to be in FK. Now, that doesn't mean that's not always the case, and once we get into animation, there's going to be a lot of swapping back and forth within the scene. So sometimes a scene like the hand will be in FK to begin with, and then all of a sudden the animator will change it into IK. There's a more specific reason for animators to use FK versus IK. For now, we're not going to get into that. For now, the basic idea is just knowing that FK, you control it from the top joint. IK, each one of them is independent, and they don't affect the other. Cool. Okay, that is a very basic look at FK versus IK.